Hello and welcome to today's Just Chopsing Podcast. And today with David and myself, we have a couple of guys from Just a Ride. Just a Ride are a brand new four-piece rock band leaning towards a bit of grunge influence, I guess. And we have Rod and Drew. How's it going, guys?
Very well, thank you very much. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad. Everybody's getting back to work and getting life back to normal, I guess. Except for you, Drew. I just heard you're in isolation.
Yeah, got the Omicron. I don't even say
Omicron.
Omicron.
Okay. How do they tell the difference between all these different variants?
I think apparently they can, but they didn't actually say I had that. I think they just kind of
guessed.
And everyone's got, like, my mum's got it, my brother's got it, like, everyone's just suddenly come down with it.
Did you have to have a second test? Because my sister-in-law had to have a second test because they were a bit worried whether she had it. So she tested negative with one PCR, and they said, "Oh, no, you need to have a different test for Omicron."
Really?
And they came to the house and shoved the thing up your nostrils at the house, and then you had to wait. You had to stay in isolation for 48 hours whilst they were getting you the results.
Not all. No, it was just I went and did a PCR and just was
okay.
I mean, you know, I guess there is a test for it just to see which variant it is, but I think this new variant is the dominant variant, so it's the one that's kind of running around. So,
so maybe they're just exclusively testing for that now then.
Yeah, I think
Which would be a bit dumb, really, because then the other one wouldn't get tested for, and you'd be running around positive but negative.
I think most people are anyway.
I think they are. Yeah. That's how it spreads, you know.
It is, yeah. Well, that's a conversation we had with before, because I had it here last year in May, and I was really, really ill for like 5 weeks before I tested positive.
Wow, yeah.
So yeah, it's just fucked up. It's like.
Yeah. Well, I had it before. This is my second run of it. I had the really bad the what's it called variant, like the Delta variant, and knocked me off my feet for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. I've done everything to kind of taunt the virus, and I just can't seem to get infected. I've tried so hard.
She just can't get it.
She's unreal. Drew's house.
Yeah, go and give him a nice French. although his wife hasn't got it, and unless she stopped kissing you, do you know?
Well, no, she's in the other room. Like, she's sleeping in a separate room because it's just But whether that helps or not, I don't know. You know, it's just. I mean,
passporting marriage 10 years.
I'm going to do my LFT tomorrow. It's day 6 and 7 tomorrow and Friday. So I'm going to do my. If they're negative Thursday and Friday, I'll be all right. I can get out of jail free earlier. You know, as it.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. So you have a new single coming out on the 14th of January, which is called Not Enough.
That's correct.
Yeah, cool. And this show will actually go out the day before your single is released.
Oh, brilliant. Perfect.
And it'll also be on our radio show in the evening, because this show will come out at 12 o'clock. Excellent. And I'm going to, if I may I?
Please do.
On a radio show.
Of course.
Okay, I wasn't sure because it's not being released until the 14th, so I don't know.
It's on radio. It's on radio now. It's just not released till the 14th.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Building the hype up, you know.
Absolutely.
Shaking up the can and just waiting for it all to foam up, and then on the 14th it's just going to go.
I've never heard it.
Grunge everywhere.
Cool. Let's hope so. What do you reckon, Dave?
Yeah, got to be done, hasn't it? Yeah. What's the influence of the songwriting then on that song? Because I did read something saying you saw like it was written during lockdown.
Yeah.
So the song was written, like the actual music was written by me and our now ex-bass player, but and then we sent it to Rod, and Rod literally wrote all the lyrics and melodies for it. I don't really remember. Because we probably wrote it about a while ago in lockdown, but I remember for some reason walking around in Salisbury after you sent the vocals through on the demo, and I was just like, this is going to be great, and things like that. Don't remember structurally. I think yeah.
I think what's actually really cool, like, because I'm just, in the world of kind of like content, you always think about like, what what kind of little videos can we do to give insights? And actually, this song was written at a time where we were already starting to get a little bit more savvy with social media and whatever. So I actually filmed myself writing, and how I tend to write mostly is like Drew will basically come up with like a song structure, send it over, and I just sit with a keyboard and I kind of work on melodies. Once I've got the melodies down, I start thinking about lyrics. So what's cool is I've got a load of videos of, you know, probably 2 hours of just fiddling around on the keyboard. So there's stuff I'm working on is like, you know, like a little like a time-lapse video, and maybe like a little cut down of, you know, the evolution of the ideas. It was quite funny. I was watching it the other day, and actually like the chorus melody came quite quickly and quite close to what it ended up on the record, which isn't always the way things go. Sometimes these things take they take literally years. Ironically, we had a song out called Time Is Running Out, which took about 3 years to write. But yeah, you know, this one was really natural. And then lyrically, it was kind of, it was a difficult time for everyone. In my personal life, I'd started a business in and basically like become self-employed and done my own thing in about January 2020. And yeah, when everything got locked down, I basically had all these clients just call me on the same day and say, sorry. Oh. And it was just like, oh, I've kind of bet the farm, and what am I going to do? And, you know, so actually like being able to write music and like a lot of not enough is actually quite literal. It's like it's kind of like an exploration of have I got enough to kind of take this setback and you know and move forward. And I think like the first verse is very much like maybe feeling a little bit sorry for yourself or whatever, and it leading to the chorus like being like self-doubt. And then the second verse is more about, no, do you know what, you got to snap out of this, you've got to make things happen, you've got to do that. And then you know the lyrics of the chorus have a different context. And then like there's a middle eight where, you know, you're just quite reflective. There was a line I really liked, which is like a backing vocal line, which is time breaks all hearts. And it's this idea that eventually things don't last forever. And no matter how well you think you've done or how badly things are going, eventually time's gonna change, and eventually, you know, you're gonna be in the ground. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a roller coaster of like what the lyrics mean and whatever, but it was actually really kind of quite cathartic, because I had to do some strange jobs to make money during that time. I think one of the worst ones I had was going to work in a factory making pizzas. That was really, really, really awful.
Did you get any free pizzas though?
No.
Were they frozen?
That's why it's awful.
Yeah, making pizza. I don't know if you want to bleep these names out, but I will never eat a pizza from Asda or Marks and Spencer again, because the hygiene standards were unbelievably poor. And after, you know what, like after a little while of working there, I was like, because my father.
Can we say allegedly?
But allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
My father lives with us, and I was thinking, I'm getting paid like £8 an hour. I'm working in a room of like more than 1,000 people. Everyone's like really close to each other. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm like, I don't really need it. Like, honestly, like I must be able to think of better ways. One of the things I did think was, like, in terms of the effort that you put in and the risk, whatever, surely it is easier for me just to like wank on OnlyFans and generate this much revenue, or put some sort of fruit or vegetable in my rectum. Like this would, do you know what I mean? Like, you know,
will that really generate more money? Because if it will, I'm going to start fucking doing it.
Well, I mean, the problem was, it was like,
how do you sign up? Where's the sign up bit?
Yeah, exactly.
You can do it instantly. And then actually, weirdly, after all that, I ended up getting briefly involved with a friend of mine, like basically trying to build a clone of OnlyFans, where we're like, you can do whatever you want, no judgment here.
Oh my God.
I stepped away from that project after a while.
Yeah, this is all news to me, by the way. I'm like, what?
What I will say is, like, going in the factory, there was some strange things. It was like, I have always been like, workers, they, being positive about that, and like dignity at work and all this kind of stuff, but and like paying people fairly, but like as a bit of like an economics buff, I'm like, I was paid to literally on a conveyor belt for 6 hours just push these balls of dough like this, and I was thinking, actually, I'm probably being overpaid. Like, because everything in work is about productivity. And unfortunately, like, if the minimum wage is this much, like, it was crazy. It's nuts, because like there are like minimum wage jobs where you probably have to think a little bit more. Like, I worked in hospitality for a long time, and it's like, okay, being a waiter isn't particularly difficult, but you are having to talk to people, you're having to multitask. You don't just have to sit there and just do this. And I'm like, how can you pay someone? I was left there going, automation needs to hurry the fuck up. Do you know, like, this, people shouldn't be doing this. People should be doing more than just being herded like cattle.
Dude, I've packed tea bags. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Oh, mate.
There's the big Twinings factories, like in Andover where I live, and it's like, when I was a kid, I packed tea bags there. So it's like for 2 weeks, and I just, in the end, you're like, I don't want to see another tea bag ever again. You know.
So you're not in the tea bag. Well,
as a young teen. So yeah, isn't that illegal?
What time is this going out, by the way? Is this like
podcast? It can be listened to by anyone at any time, but there's a disclaimer.
I've actually started putting a disclaimer on the YouTube episodes now.
Yeah.
Notice, Dave?
Was that no tea bag in the hand?
No tea bagging on your Asda's pizza.
Oh yeah.
Was that what you thought about going to OnlyFans? Because your productivity was so high.
I was just thinking, I'm a thinker. And like, that was the worst thing. Like, I came from a background of like operations. So it's like, my job prior to this had been like, how can we make things as efficient as possible? And I was thinking, going in there like a cocky shit, I was like, oh, don't worry, I can go in this factory and, I can ascend up the ranks. Problem is, no one spoke English, so I couldn't communicate to the fact that, I could, they couldn't understand me. It was a fucking nightmare. But actually, it's amazing how effective just people shouting, like in the way that, you literally herd cattle, works with human beings as well. Yeah.
Anyway, that's how the song was written.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Not enough productivity to justify.
No, it's like, the bottom line is it's come out. The actual song was it's just like the actual song was, it came out really well. It was like, it's just a great fun live song to play as well. It's quite sort of in your face, up tempo. It's good.
Have you managed to play many live gigs then?
We've done a couple recently. Yeah, we've just started. So we've just we just lost our bass player.
That is Russ.
Yeah, Russ. So he's just left because he just can't do it at the moment, and that's fair enough. It's a lot. Band's a commitment, and it's hard. But so we did a couple of gigs with him, and it was a shame because like he only just done a couple of gigs, and we put so much work into it, like lockdown, like doing the record. So we're on the hunt for another bass player at the moment. It's live. We got what I was leading into was that we're going to we've got our album launch in February.
Yeah.
And a bunch of gigs around that as well. So we're playing in Wales. We're playing, there's playing up in Edinburgh. We're playing Worthing,
Edinburgh, Newcastle.
We're trying to build. Yeah, we sort of built like
Andover, like London, Newcastle. Have I said Newcastle?
Yeah, I think so. We're trying to build a tour without like doing a full-on tour. Like, it's just like
Yeah, the semantics
dates here and there, sort of in the same kind of area.
Plug the Wales shows.
Dragonfly.
Dragonfly.
You're going to Dragonfly,
going
aren't you?
on that's on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mark, that is, yeah, because that's about 4 miles away from me. But
I haven't played, I was trying to think the last time I played Wales. The last time I played Wales was when I was, I played Steelhouse
Oh, cool.
Festival.
Who
The
did you
last
play
time I
that with?
played,
That
What,
was
sorry?
fun, yeah?
Who did you play it with?
I used to be in Inglorious.
Oh, right, okay.
No way.
Yeah, I did. I played. I did the third album, Ride to Nowhere. Played on that,
Yeah.
and I sort of did the second album tour. So after Will left, Billy, I took over, and I did that year. I did a couple of years in the band.
Oh.
So this is how this band was kind of. Well, the band was sort of going before.
Yeah.
But not like me and Rod had, been writing and and sort of doing stuff, and then this sort of opportunity came to do Inglorious, and I was like, oh, you know what, why not? Like, it was good fun. It was good fun up to a point, and then I'll leave it at that. And then
Hey, go into it. Go into it.
You
You
go on the
just
Steel Panther tour then?
yeah, I did the Steel Panther.
Yeah, as well, yeah, because I would have. Well, I must have seen that because that was.
What, the UK one, the Hammersmith one?
Yeah, no, I went to Bristol O2 because I was.
Yeah, I was at that.
a big
That was
fan of Wayward Sons. So
yeah, that was it. Yeah, because Wayward Son supported us when
That's right.
when we did a tour and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, but because we all left. When did we all leave? Back in the I can't remember now.
2018 was it?
was
19.
that allegedly because of the singer? Is he a bit of a diva to work with?
A bit. Oh, yeah.
Did you see the video he made in response to? Well,
No, I
it was
didn't.
about Cole, wasn't it? Everyone knows.
Everyone
Is it
knows.
about who?
Yeah.
Cole?
But Cole, the bass player,
Colin.
Drew's
Oh,
cousin.
right, okay, yeah.
Well, Cole's my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but he's just just classic narcissistic, like just classic behaviour, really, and had no need to be like that, really. Just so
Yeah.
he sort of buried his own kind of career, really, didn't he, doing that? So that was always fun. But it's really hard. People don't really understand in those situations. Like you can't when you're on the road with someone like that 24/7. It's just really hard. It's really hard to deal with those types of personalities. And
I think something that's interesting though is a lot of people don't realise that bands. Everyone just thinks all bands are friends, but it's a business. Do you know what I mean? It's a group of people who work together. So like when people are surprised, like, oh, maybe people don't get on or there are certain traits. And also the other thing is like when you're around people like on a tour or, you're really around them. It's very intense.
Yeah.
So like you imagine saying to like a normal person, it's like, have you ever worked with someone you didn't get on with? It's like, and everyone will go, well, yeah, of course. It's like, so why do you think bands are different? But I think it's because, it's the way bands are portrayed. Like, you were all best mates and we're all getting on together and we're all smiles for the camera. And it's like, there are so many bands that like, you can tell they hate each other. But
that's more like down the road. Like if they've done it for like years and years and years and they're sort of stuck together. But I think when a band is in its early days, especially like in that situation I was in, it was just no need for it. It was just there was no need for his behaviour towards other people like that, and so we just had enough really. But anyway, so after that we after the band ended, I was on tour with Rock of Ages at the time, like the theatre show thing, and then we had a bass player before as well. He was like the original bass player, Eddie. And unfortunately, he had to move back to Brazil, and it was a bit of a shame, really, because he was kind of the band. I started the band originally with him.
Okay.
Just a Ride, and he's got a writing credit on one of the. He was part of it. Do you know what I mean? Part of the thing. So there's a song called "Release Me," which is basically a reworked version of one of his songs from. Did you ever hear it, Rod? The original version.
I did. It was a bit like a bit of a new metal-y kind of.
Yeah, we just turned it to like a ballady kind of like tune, and I really missed Eddie when he left. I really felt that. It was really kind of because we're sort of all like the four of us were quite. It just felt like a band, When I started this band, that's what I wanted. I waited to get the right people, and to get Rod, it took me 6 months to a year. To get a drummer, it took us like 6 months. Because I wasn't going to settle, and so when Eddie left, I was really gutted. And so we had this kind of this gap period where it was like, and I wasn't in Inglorious anymore. And it was like, well, we need to finish this record. You know, it was so close to being finished, like the album and just doing stuff, and then we got it back together, and that's when Russ sort of jumped in. He was the video director of a song we did.
Okay.
And then he sort of jumped in during lockdown, which is great, really, because it fired us all back up again to kind of.
I think what was really tough for
rush
us,
out the projects, you know, get it going, you know, finish this. Let's just finish this, you know, and
Like we mentioned, like we only managed to do like 2 or 3 shows, and it's like it was crazy because like Russ was in the band for like 2 years, but it was just like a really difficult period. Like did all the really important stuff, all the right, like helping us finish the record, you know, recording the album, but you know, with like lockdown and whatever, like we were just raring to do gigs, and it just took nearly 2 years for him to get on stage. And then, you know, 2 years in a band like is a long time. And if it was in like conventional circumstances, you probably would have played, I don't know, 50, 100 gigs. You know, so I think that's something that's, you know, a little bit, a little bit difficult, isn't it? You know, like
probably just got a bit demoralised, I guess.
Probably, yeah. I really don't know. You know, it's just one of those things. So it's okay. We'll just have to get another bass player. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's
but
like,
you're sort of based. You're not all based in close region, or not?
No, we're all over the place.
Spread out.
So, so we were actually. So the irony of like when lockdown happened was, I know for a lot of artists it was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? But we were like, this is how we've been writing since day one. I mean, at one point I was even living abroad. I lived in Amsterdam for a year, and we continued
songs.
Yeah, we just continued as normal. And you know, because at the start it was very much like a writing project. We wanted to get the right material and then go out and play gigs and do all of those things. So yeah, like it didn't really change things for us. So we were kind of in gear to continue like that. And what it did was it just gave us time. And I think now we've got like a really good rhythm. Like we kind of understand what is required if you want to achieve some of the things like, let's say, a band like Inglorious have achieved. You know, it's not just how good you are, it's about how much you want to put in, you know, the work. And you know, back in the day, the work was probably just turning up and playing gigs, whereas now it is like all consuming. I mean, I'm lucky, like now I work in social media now, so I understand a lot of the concepts that, you know, we do in the agency I run. You know, they work in the world of music as well. But yeah, you know, it's in some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder. Do you know? It's just different, you know.
Well, I think instead of paying us to come on this podcast today, you can just help us out with our social media.
Oh, absolutally.
I really was
anything you need.
I'm just going to pay you. I'm just going to find you 10 quid.
I'll bang you a few stories if you want. I know.
Yeah.
Got a ton of templates.
Is that difficult working in social media?
No, it's. I mean, I worked in restaurants for 20 years. It is comparably.
Yeah, but that's apples and oranges, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
A complete DOS. No, it's all right. I mean, yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There are some things that like amaze you. You know, the first time, like let's say a client has like a pylon because they've upset a group of people or whatever. Sometimes, I mean, it is incredible how quickly it escalates to getting death threats. It you know, less than 24 hours and you're like, woo. And I mean, like, do you know what? I mean, I've had people like, you know, crying and upset and you're like, don't worry about it. It's just a nutter. It doesn't matter. But then sometimes you're like, yeah, but like, I'm just desensitized to it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just do logical things like, okay, you can find out where this person is based. And if you live in New York and that person lives in Cumbria, it's not a credible threat.
Yeah. No, I know.
You know, if someone's sending you a picture of your house, call the police.
That's
it's all sorts of stuff like that. But it is just amazing, like how people like attack like that kind of like hive mind. It's really and it seems to kind of like go through all different industries, all different things. So it could be like a food brand could get it. You know, it could be, you know, an architecture company. It's absolutely nuts.
Well, I had one person on Twitter telling me that they wished I was dead.
Oh yeah.
But that didn't really escalate into anything else, you know.
Why, though? What's
I
the
made
point?
a few ha-has on it, comments.
What did you do? Yeah, but did you like? I mean, what is going through that person's mind when they're doing that? They're like, they just saw a tweet from you. They just get so wound up, and they're just like, "Oh, that's it. I'm going to just say something," and then they just go, "Fuck it. I wish you were dead." Like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
what it was a
waste
a tweet.
what waste of energy for
This
them?
girl put a tweet up saying, I wonder if all the Post Malone fans are crying now, and I don't know what's been going on with Post Malone, because as far as I know, he's been away for a while. And I said, why is he dead? Because that was my normal question.
Mate, well, yeah, just give a response.
You know.
Really, yeah.
And then she said, no, but I wish you were. So I just started to send some smiley faces, laughing faces back, but nothing really came of it. You know, I was hoping to get some sort of response.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, you're always looking for some sort of response on social media, aren't you?
I can't remember where I
sending me, I wish I was dead. I mean, I'd rather a million people tell me I wish I was dead, and then a million people would know who Just Chopsing is. You know what I mean?
The problem is though, it's like you know, sometimes you get this and you're like, this is, and sometimes it's like other brands kind of realize they can rile people up and
Yeah.
put them on other brands because it's the cheapest way of getting like the algorithm to push what you and you know, I remember saying to someone once, I was like, I know it sounds horrible, but this is how they do business.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is just be dignified and ignore it, because you can try reaching
I
out.
thought you was going to say the best thing to do is piss people off then.
Well, it depends. It depends what your brand and what your persona is. Like, sorry to get like the you know.
No, I'm really interested because we're struggling. I tell you, me personally, I'm really struggling with the social media thing of it, because we put out so much content. I mean, this is going to be like our 87th or 88th episode, you know, and the content we put out, in my eyes, is pretty good content. Everybody we have on always say they want to come back on because they find it really good, you know, because it's not your standard run-of-the-mill interview, I guess. It's just coming on, you're telling us about your stuff and then having a good old moan about shit, to be honest.
I moan about shit all the time, so it's like therapy, isn't it?
That's what therapy is.
To try and
Podcasts
increase
are
your
therapy.
following is a fucking nightmare. It's like, you know, and then there's all this stuff about algorithms and SEOs and... It's like,
Honestly,
I haven't got a clue.
honestly, it baffles me on this. Like, Rod's really good at it. Like, Rod's, and that is literally the reason why probably people know who our band are, because of Rod, because he's just really good at, you have to just have that hat,
Yeah.
you know, to be able to do it. You can't just, it's not good enough just to be able to like release your music and just be like, yeah, I've just released this great song. It's just not, no one cares. You know, you have to realize, you know, you have to have all this extra things, and it's something that baffles me, because I'm, you know, well, I mean, Rod will tell you, like, we're from an era that is, we're kind of in between, aren't we? Because we're from that
Pre-social.
era, yeah, where it's like CDs still, and then it's like, well,
mate, I'm from vinyl, so...
mate, well, it's all back now, isn't it, vinyl?
Back now.
Yeah,
I
but
love
that doesn't-
vinyl.
that doesn't
So
help me
much.
either.
Vinyl's great, but
You better get your checkbook out, son.
Yeah.
yeah, but we, you know, and we live in this weird time where like musicians, like bands, don't make money, but they have to just constantly like promoting the shit out of themselves on like these social
No, do you
platforms.
know what? I think that it is harder than ever to make your sole income from music, but I think it's easier than ever to kind of supplement what you do, or to generate some revenue, which,
Yeah.
you know, 20 years ago, if you were a middling band, you were either a professional band that could make money, or you weren't, because actually there were, or let's say there were 3 levels of band. Like, there's, you know, you're making no money, it's costing you money to be in a band. That's the majority of bands, right? Then there's the other end of it, which is your band is an established band who is making money from being on the road, selling merchandise, record company advances, blah, blah, blah. And then the bit in the middle was completely dominated with bands who are signed to labels, and somebody is funding that period of time or making that investment in getting them out to an audience to test the waters to see if they are going to be the band that becomes self-sufficient and become a legitimate business.
Well, that's a
and
standard record company fucking...
Yeah, that's how it is. I think
Modular.
what happens now is it's just shifted slightly, and I would say it's the record companies now don't get even involved too much in that make it learning to make it period where they were lending you the money. Now they want to get involved once you've got money.
Yeah.
Once artists.
Well, once you've got a product anyway.
Absolutely, once you've got the product, and once you're probably generating enough revenue for them to know, because it's a risk game, and that you go, well, do you know what? If I've got a band who are self-sustaining, or at least generating on the level they can do the money that makes them break even or be able to supplement, let's say, a part-time job or whatever, then they're worth going. Gone are the days of an A&R guy catching a busker in the street and going, oh my goodness, like, you are such a musical talent, we're going to put money behind you. That doesn't happen because it's not worth the risk.
Yeah. Plus they look at your social following as well now.
Absolutely.
Everything's, it's all connected. It's like
different.
Yeah, it is different, yeah. But it's still all connected.
Not a bad thing. It kind of makes, I guess in some ways it makes the band work harder and want it more.
But then the argument is then, do you get the best music?
That's
do you get those gifted people who don't give a fuck about the business side of things? They don't give a fuck about social, but they just write amazing songs. Because there are artists like that we've probably all heard, over the last 50, 60 years, right?
Yeah.
And there are people that are like, they're the Bon Jovis of the world who are like, I am a commercial machine. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I think you're going to get more Bon Jovis, which isn't a bad thing. I fucking love Bon Jovi. So does Drew.
We all love a bit of Bon Jovi.
But, is the only thing you want to hear Bon Jovi?
No.
That's the question.
Yeah, because I guess with that period, well, going back to like our music and stuff like that, the bands that we love. The reason I started this band was because I was just like, right, what is the music that I want to write? And it was like, oh yeah, I really love Stone Temple Pilots, and I really love, Pearl Jam,
Alice in Chains,
and all that kind of stuff. And I was, or even later on, like Incubus, and just that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, why can't I just do that? And someone said to me, well, you can. I was like, yeah, you're right. Because all what happens is, what my career ends up being like you say, I end up just joining bands already, like Inglorious or whatever it is. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it's rock music, and I'm a rock guitarist, so I can do that. That's my thing. That's the thing I'm good at. But to really truly hone in on and go, oh, what is it you like? What is the thing? What is the thing you want to create? Was this? And that goes back to that kind of stuff, and that's the stuff in the 90s was certainly not made for commercial success.
Yeah.
I mean, it was and it wasn't. I mean, like, it's probably made to look like it wasn't, and it probably really was. But but the idea behind it, the garage mentality, the
like anything. If you go back to if you go back to the origins of the punk scene.
That's what I was just going to say.
There's the formative bands, and you can see the influence, and then it becomes a commercial product.
Yeah, and I think punk, like grunge in the 80s, obviously, there was a whole grunge movement in the 80s, and it just came to fruition in the early 90s with Nirvana and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, but really, it was all going on underneath all the glam and all the pop, all the hair metal and stuff. And sorry, I hate using that word. I won't use that again. But because some of those bands were great as well. Some of those 80s. I love all that stuff as well. But it's just that obviously it had a shelf life and it ended, and then the punk move, the grunge is just punk of the 90s. So it all kind of, and I kind of feel like we need all that again. I kind of feel like we need like the anti thing, but I maybe that was the last movement. Was new metal the last movement?
I don't know. It's a strange time now. It's like
just different.
I don't know what the anti-establishment music is these days. Maybe it's just not rock anymore.
Not one, is there?
It's like, without getting political or whatever, like when you have Rage Against the Machine essentially backing what the government want you to do, that's a bit odd. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can back like the general idea without like licking the boot. And that to me, like Rage Against the Machine were like when I was growing up, they were literally the ultimate middle finger. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they were talking about stuff that, you know, like, and this is the thing.
Well,
It's like,
fuck
you don't,
you, I won't do what you tell me, innit? You know what I mean?
yeah, and like opening up like really really interesting like philosophy and all this to a general, like to probably a demographic of kids who probably would never have started to be interested in those sorts of ideas.
Yeah.
And then for them to just be like, oh no, you know, having a go at people for criticizing things. It's like, surely, even if you disagree with them, surely you would say, well, yeah, that is kind of the spirit of Rage Against the Machine. Maybe we could talk about it. I don't know. Like, I always
maybe
thought,
Right
like,
Said Fred should fucking make an anti-vax song, because they're always on Twitter preaching anti-vax stuff.
Are they anti-vaxxers, are they?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
I don't know, mate. I hate using labels like that, because I think like they're just constantly shifting. Like, what does anti-vax mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if it's like, you know, I mean, yeah, you know, without wanting to go too fucking deep on this, it's like, you know, and I've got a friend who was like, you know, he was labeling people anti-vax, and I was like, all right, okay. We were talking about, and I was like, well, what does anti-vax mean to you? It's like, well, people who don't think the vaccine works and they think it's a microchip and they think that it's gonna, you know, it's there
That's not an anti-vaxxer,
you know,
is it? That's a conspiracy fucking theorist.
Well, anti-vax even a year ago was, you know, you don't want vaccines. Anti-vax now is like, you don't agree that everybody should be mandated to take vaccines. You know, like it's. Do you know what I mean? It's just these terms that constantly shift, and I think like a lot of the time, like people misunderstand each other because they're talking about two different things.
Yeah. But aren't we mandated to take a vaccine when we're a fucking child?
What's that, sorry?
I said, aren't we mandated to take a vaccine when we're a child? When we're children? Because you have to
you're not.
You our first ones.
Well, no,
you
don't.
have measles and rubella and all that shit. You don't have to, but you're actually called in for it.
Yeah, I know, but that's the point. You don't have to.
Well, you don't have to.
Like, you get the choice. Most people do, because they go, yeah, all right, fair enough. But what I'm saying is like, you know, you don't convince people who are skeptical by calling them idiots and shouting at them. You know, you have to try and convince them in a better way that isn't like, oh, well, you know, we'll just lock you up in your house if you don't do what we say, because that's a bit
it's a bit wrong.
It's a bit iffy, do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah.
Well, that's the fucking government, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and to just be like, I don't know, like years and years of just being anti-government. Now, like, I don't get it. Like, it's a strange time we live in. I hate government. Like, I think it's awful. All government.
Yeah.
You know? So, but then you get, you know, professed anarchists, you know, telling you to do what the government tell you to do. And you're like, I remember once I had, we were running late on a rehearsal, and a bloke in an anarchy t-shirt told us, come on guys, you're running late. It's like, well, don't wear the fucking anarchy t-shirt, mate. If you want an anarchy, I'll just fuck off without paying you.
Amazing. Yeah,
but have you been vaccinated then, Drew, since you've been poorly?
Okay, so I've only had one
vaccination.
Yeah, I've had one. I had it back in May, and I kind of got sick around the same time, and it kind of put me in a bit of a back foot about it. But I don't know how much of that was because I think I probably got coronavirus, because I never tested positive for it back in May, but all my symptoms were just a bit weird and random.
Yeah.
Not that I'll go into them on here because they were just weird.
Yeah.
But
I understand.
I had one vaccination, and then about 2 weeks later, and then I was really ill. And so I don't know if I got coronavirus at the same time as the vaccination, or if I had it and then I had the vaccination and it made it worse, or I have no idea. Yeah. So it's just put a bit of PTSD in me.
Yeah.
I want to get it. I can't get it now for 12 weeks anyway, because I've just coronavirus. So.
Is it 12 weeks? I mean, mine
12
was
weeks.
It was different for me because, I mean, you touched on you were living in Amsterdam. I don't know what you were doing in Amsterdam, but I live in Holland. And when I caught corona, I had to wait 8 weeks. But my girlfriend had caught a few days after me. Obviously, she caught it off me, and she only had to wait 4 weeks. So it was like
every country's got different rules. But
we're in the same country. We live in the same house.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant like Okay, sorry. Yeah, what I'm on about. But anyway, sorry, it's been a long day. So I do want to get it done, and I have to really, because I won't be able to tour, and
exactly, I
kind of got to do it for my career. I'm not sure if I want to just keep getting loads of,
I got
boosters every 10, all that kind of stuff. But I think, I don't know. I think having it and building up some natural immunity
is a way to go.
Well, it's not the way because everyone's different. Everyone's
but
you can't
I mean, catching
everyone.
it and then getting vaccinated, and then catching it again. I mean, why would you need another booster after that? Do you know what I mean? It's like
I guess the variants will change, won't they? It's a bit like the flu, isn't it? So it will just kind of keep changing.
I mean,
but I've had one. I do want to get my second one, but I just haven't.
Just gotta wait. What were you doing in Amsterdam then, Rod?
I was opening a venue for a year. That was quite cool. I don't know. How well do you know Amsterdam?
No, not very well, to be honest.
Okay, so
I know Legoland.
Legoland isn't in Amsterdam. It's in Denmark.
No, it's Denmark. Sorry, getting the place.
I was thinking.
Yeah, wrong
I mean,
country.
I'm like Amsterdam. Like no, Denmark. No, that's Holland. No.
Yeah. No. I was out there. It was cool. Like we lived like literally in the red light district.
Mm-hmm.
I was working opening like this 24-hour venue in Amsterdam Noord, which is North Amsterdam for people who don't speak Dutch. It was cool. What was interesting about it was like Adam Toren, which is the kind of complex, was like kind of seen as like a music tower. So Gibson Europe have their headquarters there. There was a really cool nightclub underneath our venue called Shelter, which was awesome. And like if people are into electronic music, I quite like it, and everyone's into like different things, but obviously it's huge in Holland, so you used to get amazing DJs go in there, so I was kind of running this venue that was it was kind of like a bar, like it was huge. It was like bar, restaurant. There was a hotel attached to it as well. So you look after like the F&B for that. You have like there were like function rooms and bits and pieces. It was cool. And it was like, I came from like a background in like operations, like multi-site restaurant management and all this kind of stuff. So when I went to Amsterdam, it was like they kind of needed someone who had that experience, but just kind of wanted to do it all in one building.
Okay.
But it was really, really cool. I mean, it was a bit of a culture clash because like coming from, I'd worked in London, and like London is like boom, 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 work, and then employment law in Holland is very, very different to it in the UK. It's a much more relaxed, chilled out kind of way of being. It was interesting. I actually really like the kind of the Dutch way of doing things, to be honest. Although had some interesting meetings in like with HR. It was like they literally can't do this, can they? It was like, yeah, that's the law here. It's like, oh, wow. It's crazy. It was a really cool time, and I mean, I love Amsterdam. It's just an amazing city. Yeah, where did you play?
I always forget. I was just trying to look there the name of the venue, and that was with Inglorious. That was
It wasn't Heineken Music Hall, was it?
No, like the venue was like.
Was it big or small venue?
I had one big venue in there, one small venue. It was on the main venues where, like, I think Steel Panther played there before. It was on the big one.
Was it Nil 13?
Might have been that one. It's kind of got like, it looks a bit grey and like rubbery floor, like black floors.
In Amsterdam?
No, Nil 13
in
in
Holland.
Tilburg.
In
Tilburg.
Holland?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the name of the venue?
Nil 13, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to go.
I know when you got the FNR.
I just did that one place. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that'd be the Tilburg venue.
How long have you been in Holland?
Sorry?
22 years.
Oh, wow.
What took you out to Holland?
Originally just work, to be honest. I mean, I was going through quite a bad time in my life, and my mother had died and everything, and I got into some trouble with some people, and well, not trouble. I just started doing stupid things, and I just woke up one day and thought, well, fuck this. What am I doing? So I phoned one of my mates up, and he was already working over here, and he said, "Oh, I'll get you a job," and then I just
turned up.
I phoned the agent, got a job, and I've been here ever since.
Wow, amazing.
Everybody else has gone, and I'm still here.
My next door neighbour, she's from Holland. She's Dutch, and they've got a house. They've got a house here, and they've got a house in Holland. So they spend 3 months in Holland and 3 months over here.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And
You know what part of Holland she's from?
I don't know.
Sorry, Dave?
So where do they spend the other 6 months?
Oh.
Oh yeah, very good. Yeah.
On the run.
On the run.
International
They
waters.
just do they do 3 months now. They do most of it over here, but they just do. I know he sods off for like 3. It would just disappear. We're like, you've seen Roger? It's like, oh, he must be.
He needs his wife there, though, doesn't he?
No, but yeah, and it's so I think one of his kids lives over there and stuff like that.
Ah, right, okay.
You know, so
Cool.
he's always back and forth. But obviously with the whole, you know, Brexit thing, it's always always fun.
So you were together in a band called Violent Delight. How long ago was that? Was it like a long time ago?
Wow. Now you're dredging up the history.
Oh yeah, that was a while ago.
Well, I was okay. So Violent Delight is Rod's band that Rod was signed to Warner Brothers when he was very young, and you know, and had a top 25 single and all that kind of stuff, didn't you, mate? Which I'll tell you about in a sec. But my bit, sorry, which I was just going to say, is really small. Like, and this is how I met Rod actually. Was I sort of joined just as sort of the end of the band. Their guitarist had left, and I did a few shows. Like, I only did a couple of shows, but it was like, was it El Nino, supporting El Nino, wasn't it, at the London Astoria 2?
Yeah.
And we were young, man. I was like 20, you were like 18, 17.
And I was already a veteran then as well. That was the
yeah.
that was the crazy thing. Like,
I mean, we're talking like 2004, 2003, 2000. Yeah, it was a while ago. You know.
2001 to 2004. Like,
Okay.
Bloody hell.
I was 16.
When you got signed?
15, 16, yeah. I think 15 when we did the deal.
Yeah, really, that's young, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and do you know what? Everyone talks about like the entertainment business. No one tried to diddle me.
Okay.
I probably wasn't attractive enough.
They just diddled you out your cash instead.
Yeah.
Nah, to be fair, I think I came up quids in out of that deal, to be fair.
Yeah, really?
Well, I mean, like the amount of money they spent on us, Jesus Christ, I'll never pay that back. But I don't have to, so.
Yeah.
That was like going back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, that was the glory days, you know, of. And I'd say Rod was probably one of the last bands to be sort of the big record deal through the big major system, you know, of that thing, wasn't it? You know,
it's really weird actually, because I always, you know how like when you remember things are different to when you actually go back and look at the facts. And I, for just some reason in my head, I kind of had the impression that like Busted had been successful and Warner's were looking for a teenage band and all of this stuff, and they signed us and blah blah blah. And then like it was only actually a few weeks ago I was kind of like, we've just moved house, and you know I've got my old box of memories which you know I look into every so often and just cry and think about how my life could have been. But I found like the top 40 the week we had like our biggest single, and like I think Busted's second song had charted that week. So I misremembered this. I think we got signed. Like, I think like the labels, like they follow trends, you know? So I think someone at Warner's had gone, right, Universal have signed like this youngster, punky, poppy group. Let's go and sign our version.
Yeah.
Do you know? And rather than it being a reaction, like it was a reaction, but it wasn't a reaction to their success. It was a reaction to the vibe in the industry. So I think, you know, they hedged their bets on us and lost a fair whack of money.
but you know, what an experience for yourself to like
exactly.
go through that system.
It's great fun.
You know, which not many people get to sort of do.
No,
yeah, and
right,
there's all sorts of stuff that you don't really appreciate. Like I did he produced half of the record and I wrote a load of songs with him. Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, okay.
And I didn't really, you know, I kind of knew the Sex Pistols, but like, you know, you'd just be, you know, finishing the studio, go and oh, do you want to come for dinner with me and Paul Cook? I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm just like, who are these old men?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas now I would like, I'd be chewing their ears off, like asking them all sorts of stuff. But
I saw Paul Cook pop up in a band the other day.
The Professionals.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's the band actually immediately after the Sex Pistols. Him and Steve did. I mean, yeah, Steve stepped away from it, I think only a couple of years ago. And a link to us and the Professionals, another link is that Dave Draper, who produced our album, he plays guitar in a really cool band called They Fell From the Sky with Colin from 100 Reasons. It's an awesome album. Everyone should listen to it. Okay. But Dave just produced the Professionals next record. Yeah, so
he did, didn't he?
Oh, right,
yeah.
Okay.
A bit crazy, but yeah, like Steve had been, up until only recently, had still been kind of doing it. But I think with all like Steve lives in LA, and I think Paul is still based in London. Yeah, Jonesy's Jukebox.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I think it was like with all the travel and whatever, it's just like, well, crack on, lads, give it a go. But yeah, Professionals.
Yeah,
good songs.
Have you talked to Paul or?
No, I literally I haven't seen Paul Cook. I mean, I only met him a couple of times.
Speak Steve Jones anymore?
Steve Jones. I haven't spoken to Steve for about 15 years.
Okay.
I like. Do you know what? Like, I used to speak to him back. Like, do you think you just lose touch with people and and all that? But like, I remember getting in touch with him last time I kind of like had any exchange with him. It was like when MySpace was big.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know, have a chat or whatever. Yeah, wish I still knew him. Good radio show together.
Mate, change the jukebox. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. Like,
he was in London not long ago, wasn't he? I saw him pop up somewhere.
Steve Jones.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Yeah.
Could have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good writer. Like, because he also produced what was the band Buckcherry, who are a great band. Yeah. But he's very much like, you know, me and Drew were talking about like different styles of producer, and you get people that are very technical, and it's like all about sonics, whereas, you know, Steve was, and he was probably brought in by Warner's because we're teenagers and they needed someone with more of a writing background. But you know, he was really good. Like I learned a lot from just being around him. You know, the number one thing I learned from him is just like, yeah, going home, mate, we're fried. I'm not gonna write anything today. But he, you know, and at the time I was like, what? This is weird. But he's like, if it's not happening, don't force it.
Just
don't
relax.
Right. Yeah.
Let us sleep on it. Come back.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, we wrote some good songs. I think. Not that good. I mean, didn't do that great, but you know, he didn't have much to work with.
All right. Well, have you got a video for Not Enough?
Yes, we do. We have a music video. It was probably like I guess Russ's like last major contribution, because Russ is, like we said, a videographer. So he had been working on the video. He had probably like a 90% cut, and then I finished it off. But that's going to be coming out a couple of weeks after the single. But I'm sure we could fire you over a link for some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of like web thing for you guys that, you know, you can have it before everyone else. And
could we? Because what I could do, look, is I could actually put it on the end of this interview.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, that would be really good because you know, that's co-promotion.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. That's a great idea.
All right, cool.
Got video, got lyric video.
Lyric video, it's like everything. Do you know what I mean? Like,
this is all the stuff you have to do these days.
This is it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you have to. Yeah.
I mean, there's technically 4 music videos for this. Like, because you have like your static shot. Because this is the thing, a lot of people don't realize. Like, people digest things on YouTube as well. Like, they're, you know, I mean, I think you just kind of forget being in England. Like, oh, everyone's got Spotify, but there are territories that don't have Spotify so much. Like, there's a band we talk to quite a lot called Dead Star Talk. They're like a Danish version of Oasis. I really like them. Really sad, like got great songs. But they were a bit skeptical about YouTube, and they chucked the video on YouTube, and they got massive traction in Poland. And then someone was saying, well, apparently like Spotify uptake in Poland is pretty low, but people use YouTube.
Yeah.
And you know, they've gone out and played gigs there and done fantastic. So like, yeah, you know, I guess you've got to put your product out in all the places to kind of get that sort of like maximum reach.
Yeah. Well, that'd be brilliant. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do that. But what we'll do, all right, then what we'll do, like, we'll wrap it up now.
All right.
And thanks for talking to us. Obviously, we're going to promote your single on the radio as well.
No, thank you.
But if you don't, I don't want you to log off for a minute. That's all.
No, it's fine.
I'll just say goodbye to everybody, and then I don't know if this is the right way to leave it. Tell me a funny story, Dave. Oh, I tell you what I wanted to talk about. Fuck, which we haven't done.
Go on then.
Have you seen that movie? Don't Look Up.
Yeah, I
haven't.
I saw it. I saw it the other day.
I watched it yesterday. David watched it because we wanted something to talk about. We've covered so much.
It's pretty current, isn't it? With like kind of like what's going on in
with social media, you know.
Yeah, totally. It's just like they're just like the world's gonna end, and it's like people are like, all right, yeah, like okay.
Well, the best bit was actually
getting it, like, you know,
was that girl shouting on the news, "We're all gonna die." We're all going to die anyway, so what the fuck?
And then, like, you know, then people like tweeting and do all their videos. And
yeah.
Oh, look, there's a giant meteor come to Earth.
Sorry, is there literally the meteors coming down and they're all holding their phones up?
It's
a funny ending, but I won't ruin it for Rob. But it's like,
don't worry, I have 2 small children. If I get to watch it, it will be because like I've spent 4 days trying to watch 20 minutes.
Okay, right, yeah. Well, it's like I didn't expect that ending where, like, you know, basically everyone fucking dies apart from like they escape in a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And they're cryogenically frozen for 22,000 years, and or something like that, and they go to a planet, and then she gets eaten by like some weird bird. Like
The Bronto Rock.
Yeah, it was like, what? Like Meryl Streep gets eaten by the dinosaur.
I
But
like
then
that.
did you see the end?
Yeah, I did.
When he
So
came
it
out
goes-
from all the rubble.
yeah, it comes out the rubble. Chris, sorry, what's his face? What's his name?
Jonas. He's one of
Jonas. He's
brothers.
amazing, that bloke. He plays the same guy in like all
Yeah,
the same in
everything,
all the
yeah,
films, doesn't he? Just that goofy kind of.
Yeah.
But I like the bit they're at the White House and that the general is like ripping them off.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh yeah. He goes, does everyone want some water and snacks? And they were like, yeah, sure. And he's like, yeah. They're like, it's like $5 for such and such and such. He's like, oh, okay, cool. So he's giving money, and then the girl goes when he disappears, goes to the kitchen. And she's like, where do we put the money for the snacks? And the woman's like, it's the White House, it's free. And she's like, fucking the main general who's just been ripping us off while they're waiting in a room trying to tell the
film, didn't she? All the way through the film, everybody she meets, she's telling them about being ripped off.
being ripped off by because they're waiting to go into the office, like the main oval, like the Oval Office.
Oval
Bit.
Office.
They're like, oh shit, is that the Oval, like the president? And they're like, yeah, sure, yeah. And they're sitting there waiting, aren't they? And it's like someone's birthday, and they're just like,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and it's like literally about 6 hours, and they're just waiting. They're like, yeah, so.
Yeah, they're not going to make it today.
No, I'm not going to make it.
He's got to
Like,
come
yeah, but
tomorrow.
we need to tell her like there's a meteor heading to Earth. It's like, yeah, it's not going to happen today. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll put you in a hotel. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I
It's-
really enjoyed it, to be honest. But my Facebook has been quite split because a lot of people just don't get it. I mean,
Oh, but it's a humor, like it's a type of humor, isn't it?
well, the thing is, the whole movie is actually a parody, isn't it?
yeah,
But some people, as from the comments I read, have been thinking there's not really a true story, but they don't understand that it's a parody,
well, it's not.
and that's where they're getting lost on the movie.
No, I've heard. I don't know.
It's like Independence Day, and it's not that, is it? It's not Independence Day,
It's
is it?
fucking
Or
no.
it is. It's not. It's not.
It's
Well,
a
there's
piss
films in the
take.
'90s. There was like films in the '90s like that, like tons of them.
Yeah. But it's a
Like-
piss take at looking at yourself and social media, basically.
Yes,
You know?
that's what it is. It's exactly
That's all
that.
it is. It's like,
Yeah,
Elon Musk and all
yeah,
that.
people just don't
Yeah.
get it, I think.
yeah. It's brilliant. I really loved it. I thought Leo DiCaprio was.
It's the dude who directed Anchorman, isn't it? Adam McKay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just got a twisted sense. It's the twisted sense of reality. It's like
It is, yeah. It's just a parody of what the fuck's going on.
yeah. It's
honest.
brilliant.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. You know, and even Kate. I didn't recognise her at first. Kate Blanchett's in it, but she plays like the newsreader, like the.
I didn't recognise it.
Yeah.
Like trying
Do you
to.
remember she was in that movie where she played Bob Dylan? I'm Not There.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen that.
But it's she's a great actress. But like
Yeah.
it's just like a collection of like stories about Dylan, and like I think Heath Ledger played him. There was a few different actors, and Kate
Okay.
Blanchett was like, "Oh, I want to do that."
Yeah, really.
One of the better ones.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I love Bob Dylan as well.
Yeah, it's well worth a watch.
Fucking brilliant.
Good old Bob.
Yeah. All right then, guys. We'll leave it there. Thanks for joining.
Yeah,
us.
thanks. Well, thanks for having us on.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll promote
Amongst
your
all
stuff.
that, hopefully everyone got wind that we've got a single coming out on the
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do it on the end. We're
And an
actually
album.
We're
and an album coming out on the
Yeah, the album's
25th.
coming out.
Oh, one sec.
Up the artwork.
Oh, there it
Oh,
is.
there you go. Look at that. That's brilliant.
She's a beauty.
It's got a zebra on the front.
Of course.
It's one of them fairground horses, isn't it? Carousel.
Yeah, exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the fairground tickets on the back.
Oh, right, cool. Okay, amazing. All right, nice one. That is what is it called? Because I couldn't find the name of it.
Just a ride.
Ah, so it's
Self-titled, yeah. We were thinking about calling it something, and I think either out of lays or just.
I would love it. I would love it if like later on, you know, we've become a huge band and it's just called the Horse LP. And then every album we just have a different animal. Like we just have a different animal. Like next one we'll do the zebra.
Yeah, no,
You know,
I know.
and
And then
then-
do something else so that you can ride. I mean, you can't really
Well,
ride.
maybe we should do
Like
like
a zebra?
types of horses. So we could do
Camel.
like the next one could be a pony, and the next one could be like a miniature horse,
Like a Shetland pony.
Shetland pony, stumpy.
I don't know. I think a zebra is a good one. Or like equine, you can have a donkey. The mule LP.
Well, it's just another fairground ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dodgems.
Dodgems. Yeah.
Have a
Well, we
Dodgem.
thought about doing. We thought about like should we do more of that sort of thing, like Ferris wheels and roller coasters and all that, but just different rides. I mean, maybe that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Maybe and then
Could be an
one
airplane.
time we could just
could be
get
a car.
I mean, lots of
some-
things.
some-
Like
some hot chick
The waltz.
Don't let your wife hear you say that.
Yeah.
I just want to say for the record, my wife doesn't mind being called a chick.
Oh, okay.
It's an inside joke. It's an inside joke, which we won't go into.
Right then.
All right then. So thanks for joining us. And,
Yeah, thanks for having
having us.
We will put your video on the end. And it will actually be a world exclusive, I guess. I don't think anyone's seen it yet. That'd be fucking amazing. All right, cheers, guys. Say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.
Are we staying on though?
Yeah, you are. Ta-ra.